Today's video is going to be a response to all the people who are PMing me. Should I buy Dogecoin? Should I sell my Dogecoin? And yada yada. Not only am I going to talk about that, but I'm also going to do another foray into Google Trends and how we can look at what people are saying about different cryptocurrencies and what that actually does to their price in the future. So without further ado, let's go look at Google Trends for yet another time. So this site, of course, is free. All the sites that I'm going to be showing you are free. This is just Google Trends, and this is just CoinGecko. So what we're going to look at first is what is the correlation, if there is any at all, between people talking about something, people Google searching something, and the price of that asset. So this is Dogecoin over the period of 1 week. This is Dogecoin searches over the period of 1 week. Now, what we can see is a few trends that I think I've talked about before. But they might not be obvious to everyone. But typically when you see rapid spikes in a trend, and then that spike begins to falter a little bit, almost always that is actually a market top or a short-term market top. Let me show you guys just a few examples of what I mean by that. So let's look at this. So about May 3rd, about 6, 7 p.m., a lot of people talking about Dogecoin, May 3rd, 6, 7 p.m. So that was around here. I know you might be like, wait, it said 6 on the other one, but 6 is actually 18 o'clock military time. So when that happened, when a lot of people were talking about it, look what happened. A lot of people were talking about it, and then the minute that it began to falter off, this is really interesting. Let me go back to this. Began to falter off around 8 p.m., 9 p.m. It began to the hype kind of died a little bit there. 8, 9 p.m. was right before the market fell. So what's my reasoning on this? Well, here's what happened probably, and it's. I think this part's pretty simple. So the price of Doge rose. Clearly, we went from about the 30s, 38 pennies, 37 cents. We went to about 45 cents, which was an all-time high at the time for Doge. A lot of people Google searched it. A lot of people were talking about it. Then we reached a point where it just was overbought. And because of that, the very second that people began to lose interest, that loss of interest was also probably a loss in buying interest, meaning that there aren't as many buyers at these prices. So that loss of interest probably led to a decrease in the price. This trend has happened time and time again. Here's another one. At 10 a.m. this morning Eastern time, Doge topped out, or not, I don't want to say topped out, but hit an all-time high again. It hit it right there, right after it hit this all-time high. Of course, many searches came in, and the very second that those searches began to fall a little bit, price fell as well, as you can see. At about 11 a.m., price just fell a little bit. But Doge did go right back up, and it's right now, currently at the time of this video, like a few percent away from its all-time high. It might break another all-time high, but if it does break an all-time high, here is what you should look for. You should look out for this. If we see a surge in searches, and then you see a beginning of faltering off, that can be a sign that the wave of buying might be dying out, which could be a sign the wave of selling could begin. So that is a pretty powerful tool in your arsenal. What I also sometimes like to look at is two other things. One is YouTube search, because I think that YouTube searches are just very interesting. Not just because I'm a YouTuber myself, but I think that using YouTube search on Google Trends is sometimes even better than web search, because you can see some really cool patterns. Like right here at 3 p.m., which is going to be 15 o'clock on this chart, we can see that we have a lot of people searching. That was around here. That doesn't really give us much because that was only an hour ago. But you can see a lot of patterns like this, which is one we haven't talked about yet. May 1st around 8 p.m. May 1st around 8 p.m. That was, where is that? Yeah, right here. 8 p.m. is 20 o'clock, and that was right here. So May 1st at 8 p.m. was this little market top, right? Slight market top at 39 cents. And then from 39 cents, it went to about 37. Not that much of a decrease in volatility of Doge terms, but you can definitely kind of see the same kind of pattern holding out. A lot of people get interested. A lot of people see the price is up. It spikes up, and the price can't go any higher because we get that massive search of Dogecoin, and you get that point where everyone who had bought at that time has probably already bought with all the liquidity they can, and then there are no new buyers. And the very second that you begin to see less people interested in the token, when people are less interested, what happens to the price typically? Yeah, 9 p.m. And I think 9 p.m. it started dropping. Oh, that actually proceeded before it began to drop. But yeah, this is just a pattern that I saw that I want to show to you guys with Doge. It's worked pretty well for me so far. Essentially, all that this is looking at how many people are interested online on looking at Doge, and then I'll show you guys this too. And then looking at when that interest begins to die off, that's typically a sign of a short-term market top. This is interesting as well. We can see, is Dogecoin more interesting to most people than Bitcoin? Is it more searched than Bitcoin sometimes? Whenever it becomes more searched than Bitcoin, I become wary of a market top. So when Dogecoin is searched more than Bitcoin, that's typically a time where I think that price is probably going to fall. Just because Bitcoin has a larger market cap, I think it has more use cases, and I think that obviously I'm long in Bitcoin and not long on Dogecoin. I just trade Dogecoin. I don't actually hold it because I don't trust it. But you can see whenever it surges above the interest of Bitcoin, I get wary. Yeah. So that's like a cool little kind of moving average indicator, I guess. And just for kicks and grins, you can see right now, more people are talking about Dogecoin in the last 24 hours than Bitcoin in the United States, which is not a good sign for me. If I was long Dogecoin, I wouldn't want to see that, because that's kind of telling me that there already is a critical, massive amount of interest. And if you might be saying, okay, Bennett, you're telling me all these things that are bearish for coins, what's good? Well, here's what's good. What I've noticed when prices of these of Dogecoin and other cryptocurrencies rise, typically what happens is you begin with a slow rise in Google Trends, a slow rise in interest. So something like this, you get a slow rise. That's typically a very good sign that interest is building. But then when it spikes like crazy and then begins to falter off, that typically is bearish. But bullish is when we slowly rise like that. That is typically bullish. Like that right there. Like that right there. But you might say, well, you're saying that slowly rising is bullish and spiking then falling is bearish. How do we know to differentiate? Well, to me, it's all about rate of change. This rate of change is quite small, which is good for me. But this rate of change is pretty massive, meaning that Dogecoin probably spiked. A lot of people searched it, and then the interest fell and the price fell. So if you're bullish or if you're like, hey, when should I get in? Getting in when there's building interest in something is going to be a great time, I think, typically in the short term to get in. So that's just something that I wanted to share with you guys that I thought was like a really cool 5-minute tip for a lot of people out there who want to trade Dogecoin, who want to trade other coins. Essentially, it comes down to 3 rules. Rule number 1, look for the pump and dump of Google Trends. Look for that pump in trends where a lot of people are searching it and then it begins to falter. That's typically the sign of a market top. Look for whenever any cryptocurrency, if it's big enough, overtakes searches of Bitcoin. When it overtakes searches of Bitcoin, that to me typically tells me that it's a little bit toppy. And finally, you can do this for a bunch of different cryptocurrencies, but each crypto might have its own patterns. But typically, slow rise in Google Trends is bullish, and rapid rise to me is typically a market top and typically bearish. And that's what I have found in my findings. Best of luck in trading Doge. Should you buy or should you sell Doge right now? I'm more in the sell camp. What's the price right now? The price right now is like 60 cents, 57 cents. Currently, I'm thinking that we might get a spike up and then just a fall back down, and we're going to trap a lot of traders near the market top. I could be wrong. I don't know. But this just seems like a market top, and I think that buying puts or shorting, potentially, and this is not investment advice, buying puts or shorting after I see a massive spike in price and Google Trends, then we begin to see a bit of faltering interest. Yeah, that's something that I want to look at for potentially hopping into some puts. So without further ado, that's how this works, and dive right into Google Trends. See you guys in the next one.